We're in again. Yep. Welcome to a new video. We're back on the bank and you join me in the Cotswolds and we're doing some pike fishing. So it's coming towards the end of October and I thought I'd get out and start doing my pike fishing again. Now this year I'm going to be doing a combination of piking, carping and probably some other species as well. So it's going to be hopefully a little bit of diversity on the channel over the winter. But I've come up onto a lake in the Cotswolds. It's a little gravel pit and I'm going to be looking at how to catch pike from clear water fisheries, in particular gravel pits. So I've been fishing for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, got here just before light. That's absolutely essential if you're predator fishing, is to get here before it gets light and try and get your rods positioned for as that sun starts to come up, because that is the prime time to get a take off of a pike. At the end of the day, they're obviously predatory fish, and that sort of low light conditions is when they're going to switch on and start hunting food. And if you can have your rods in position at that time, that's going to give you the best chance of having one. So anyway, I'm going to be going through the tips, tactics, rigs, all that sort of stuff, all the kit I use to catch pike, and in particular obviously we're going to look at clear water fisheries and how I go about trying to approach those kind of venues. But anyway, I've got the rods out. We are fishing and hopefully we're going to have one. I was here last week, did a couple of hours on my way up to my syndicate and actually dropped one off, but I couldn't get back into that area because unfortunately there's a couple of guys carping along there. But I'm in a different spot. I think we've got a chance of a fish, so I'm going to get the kettle on, have a coffee, and I'll catch up with you in a bit and we'll let you know what we're doing, what we're using, and hopefully we'll have a few crocs to show you. So let's get the kettle on and I'll catch up with you in a bit. Right, the rods have been out for a while, so I'm just recasting them. Okay, a tench, I think what looked like a tench has just rolled over the top of the snag. They're obviously still active. Right, I've just recast the rods. One of the baits, this right hand one I've just done, has actually been quite badly crayed, which is something I can't really avoid, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the venue. There's quite a lot of crayfish in these gravel pits, but it pays just to redo the rods now and then, reposition them, even if you put them into the same area or the same spot. That sort of recast, a little bit of disturbance, the bait fluttering down through the water can just catch the sight of a pike and be enough for them to come in and have a look. So it does pay to recast them, move them around the swim, try different spots. Obviously you can probably see in this swim I've got some obvious features right and left, which is the obvious snags, which I would have thought would have something sat under them looking to ambush some crayfish. But the baits can sit there motionless, and the fish can sometimes ignore them. And just recasting them, that flash of colour being dropped down through the water is enough to sort of bring their interest, maybe homing on the bait. The disturbance and splash of the bait landing, the vibration of it hitting the bottom, it can all add to the fish sort of switching on and coming in and getting you a quicker bite. Many times have I recast a bait, I had a bite within 5 or 10 minutes as a fish has followed it down and then picked it up. So it does pay to recast quite regularly when you're fishing for pike. Right, so I'm in a different swim. The first swim didn't produce anything, and I've just come actually the other side. I'm on like a little spit, and I've come just the other side of where I was fishing. There's a lovely little gap, and I've just got one rod out, just lowered in a dead roach, just on the bottom of the shelf. You've got a lovely big tree snag sort of featured to the right hand side, and then to the left there's a nice overhanging bush, or again a sort of tree, but it doesn't look like it really gets fished a lot. It looks the perfect place for a pike to be sat up looking to sort of ambush and prey. Now I've not seen any small fish, any silvers or anything showing over this side, but it just looks really good. And sometimes when an area looks good, it tends to be quite a good area. That's the thing with pike fishing. I find when something looks good for a bite, there's probably going to be something sat there, so it's worth a go anyway. So I've just lowered it in. We're going to give it half an hour in here and see how we get on. But as you can probably see behind me, I've got the barrow with me today, and when I'm pike fishing, or when I'm fishing for anything to be honest, I like to stay really mobile, and what I tend to do is keep all my kit just on the barrow. I don't unload it or anything like that. All I've got at the moment is I've taken my chair obviously off the barrow, and I've got my my brew kit here, and everything else is just on the barrow. And what that means is I can quickly move swims, try different areas, cover lots of ground, which is really important in any style of fishing, being mobile, especially when you're fishing a short day session. The more ground you can cover, the more areas you can cover, the more chances you've got of falling on some fish and potentially having a bite or two. So what I find with pike fishing is there's areas of the lake that can sometimes be relatively devoid of fish. There might not be anything around, and then there's areas where actually you can get quite a concentration of fish, and I think it tends to be the fish just obviously follow the food. So if you've got shoals of roach or whatever moving around, they're going to be in certain areas. Sometimes you can see them on the surface, like this morning behind me there was actually quite a lot of silver showing. But since the lights come up now and the sun's come through a little bit, that's sort of died off, and so I haven't got a lot to go on. So all I'm going on is obviously the visual side of things. So this swim looks really nice. I've got a good chance to think of a fish being held up under there. Oh, it's just starting to rain, so I better get the brolly up before the camera gear gets really wet. But anyway, fingers crossed this one produces a spot. If not, I'll obviously move around again and we'll try a different area and see if we can get one. Right, so I've just lost a fish in the other swim I was in. As I was bringing the bait in, a pike, only a jack, come up and tried to take it, and after tweaking it around, it grabbed it and then dropped off as I went to get the net. I then managed to get it to take another bait, just tweaked up and down, just a little dead bait, and as he went to take that, the bait come off, and he basically grabbed the bait without my hooks in it. So that was a bit of a disaster. So what I'm going to do is, this is a swim I started off in, which looks really good. So I'm just gonna tweak a small dead bait around. Just to see if there is anything around here, because it just looks good for it. I mean, to be honest, all these swims look really good for it. There's so many overhanging trees and loads of cover. It just looks really good for there to be a few pike around. But basically in the other swim, I had the bait out there for quite a while and I was getting a few bangs, and I thought it was the crayfish, but having brought the rod in to have a look, the bait was absolutely fine. So I put it back out again, thinking maybe it was actually something that had a look at it. And then upon reeling it in to actually pack up, there's a pike following it in. So potentially they are actually quite active, looking for more active prey as opposed to taking a static dead bait. So I thought I'd tweak some up back. Right, we are now on the second venue. So unfortunately, I managed to lose one on the first venue. God, they've opened that up. Jesus Christ. I managed to lose one on the first venue, which is definitely frustrating. But we're on the next venue. Oh, this is different. Opened it up loud. Oh, we're in ball. What? Right, there we go then. Finally managed to catch one. It's a little bit lean and a little bit tatty unfortunately, but It's nice to get a fish on a bank finally. But I've lost 2. First proper bite on the second venue, and yeah, we've got one. It's a little bit warm now, so I'm not ideal conditions, but the fish are up for a feed. There's been quite a few pike thrashing around chasing the silvers. So anyway, we're getting back. See if we can get another one. Right, I thought I'd just show the rig as I've had one now. So the main line is actually £40 braid. You're allowed to use braid on these venues. Wherever I can use braid, if the rules allow, I will always use braid. Basically, you get much better bite indication because there's no stretch in it. It's seriously strong, and what I find with pike fishing is you want your kit as strong as possible so that there's no chance of really getting a break off, because when you hook that fish you want to get the kit back, because you don't want to be losing a fish and leaving it with a set of trebles, because to be honest, a fish with a set of trebles is potentially a dead fish. Now this venue is a little bit different to the first one. It's very, very shallow, so it's still a gravel pit, very, very weedy, but very shallow. So what I'm doing is I've just got 3 SSG just pinched onto the braid lightly, so if they do need to come off, they can pull off quite easy. That goes through to about 18 inches of 34-pound wire. I've then got a set of sliceful trebles on there. So the bottom one is crimped, and the top one is actually whipped, which is why I've got a little sleeve on there. It's just to hold it all nice and together, stop it coming untangled. Well, it's not going to come untangled, but it just stops it getting caught up. Semi-barb, so I've got a barb on one point, and that barb is used to hold the bait on. Then the other 2 that hook the fish are barbless. And that is the rig. Very, very simple. Works really well. It's just caught me that little jack. The difference to over on the other lake is it's really deep, so it's a sort of 12-15 foot in most places. So I was just using a running rig, so I had a little buffer on the swivel, a running ring, and then I had sort of 2-ounce lead, just to get the bait down to the bottom and give you better bite indication. But in shallow water, like I've got here, I just find this works nice and effectively, and it's quite weedy, so the light weed, the bait basically just flutters down quite lightly and then just settles on top of the weed. You tighten down until you can just feel the tension in the bait and the rig, and then obviously you can put your drop-off indicator on. But yeah, really, really effective, works really, really well, and I've caught loads of fish fishing in this way on weedy venues. So yeah, give it a go. Oh. The other rod's just gone off. Just after the other one. I don't know if the fish is still on there. I've got a load of weed. Can't see anything. Nah. Well, I've clearly been done there. That was peeling line off of the open bail arm there. Oh, hello. Yeah, we got some more interest.
Does not feel very big. I've literally just cast that out. It's gone into the weed. Oh, is he still on there? Oh, I think he's come off. Oh, he's come off. Oh, damn it. I've had that twice now where they've gone into the weed and managed to shake them off. It's because they just changed that angle of line. Oh well. That had literally been out there, oh, 5 minutes at the most. Not a lot of marking, so I'd imagine it's probably quite a small fish. So let's get that back out anyway. Oh, that's way too far to the right. Put them both out into this open water. Basically, right out in front of me, there's a load of real low-lying weed, and all around just love that straight into a massive pile of weed. Basically all around is just rafts of weed everywhere, and as you would imagine, the pike had just sat in it waiting for an easy meal like my dead bait. Basically what I'm doing is just casting it out like that, just letting it sink. It does take a bit of time to sink because it is a light bait. And then put the rod down, turn the alarm off, what I do is put it into the drop off, get the rod in position, and then just tighten it up little by little, just taking out the slack until you can just feel that bait. So you want it up as close to the reel as you can get it, like that. So you can just feel the bait, then turn the alarm back on. Basically what that does, it slowly takes up all that tension, all that slack line. So you can just, you really need to fine tune it. So you really need to sort of really take up as much slack as you can, really fine tune it down. So you can just feel that bait resting on top of the weed, and then you clip it in, and you don't want any sort of slack at the drop off. You just want, as soon as that fish picks it up, it's just going to ping straight out as it takes the bait and moves away. And obviously that visual indication as well as the audio indication from the bite alarm obviously is enough to jump on it and set the hooks. Obviously if you're not into pike fishing, you do a lot of carp fishing, you do have to set the hooks when you're pike fishing, because you're not using a bolt style rig. It doesn't work in the same way because you're using a dead fish. The pike is essentially picking up that dead fish and then moving away with it, and they've got really bony mouths, so you then actually have to strike to set the actual hook. If you don't, they will drop off, and sometimes you will lose them. It's just the nature of the species. They've got bony mouths. You're not always going to get a very good hook hold. Generally speaking, with a carp, if you get a good hook hold, and generally a lot of other species with softer mouths where you can use a bolt rig, they're pretty much hooked, and unless anything really goes wrong, you're not really going to drop them off. Whereas in pike fishing, they're very erratic. They fight sort of here, there, everywhere, jump out of the water, do everything, and they've also got really bony mouths. Unless you've got a really tight, taut line to those hooks, the chances are they can throw them out quite easy. But anyways, back out there, we're getting a bit of action, so this is quite nice. Hopefully it'll go again shortly. Oh. Looks like we might be in again. Yep. Oh, it's come off. Oh man, they must be little fish. Another one come off. Well, as I'm dropping off a few, I can only imagine it's because they're small jacks and they're not getting the hooks in their mouth properly. Right, anyway, I'll show you what I'm using. That was on a bluey, and what I've done is I've actually chopped all my blueys in half. They normally come like full baits, they're really, really long. And what I do is chop them all in half before they thaw out, so that you ain't got to mess around trying to do it on a lake. Now, normally I like to fish a tail, but I'm going to fish a head, and I'll put one just through the lip because it's nice and strong and bony, so it holds in well, and then the other one just goes down the flank a bit. Now, obviously that is quite a big bait for a smaller fish, but hopefully there's some big ones around. Would be nice to catch a double. All the bait is just kept in the freezer bag. I'm trying to keep it out of the sun because the sun's come out and it's reasonably warm actually now. But right, let's fling that back out. Well, there's clearly a few about, which is nice to see. Just fishing in this open water. Let's put this one a little bit further. Right, as nothing's happening on this one, it might be hung up in the weed. So I'll recast this one. Yeah, it's covered in weed. It's probably sunk into the weed too much. That's better. We're in again. Let's hope this one stays on. Just had a load of rain. Oh, he's getting in the weed. Yeah, he's still there. So we're going to have to go over the top. Happy days.
Right, there we go then, number 2. Much healthier fish, very nice condition, but a bit smaller than that last one. I was caught in that right ad rod, put out into more open water, so, but nice result, number 2.
Right, change of swim. Nice open swim here. Been able to spread the rods out nicely. And yeah, we're going to try this for half an hour maybe a bit longer, see what happens. I think there was still maybe the odd fish around in the other swim. But you know what, I'd had quite a few pickups and takes out of that swim. Obviously landed a couple of fish, and there's not actually many people on here, so I thought I haven't got that long left really till it gets dark, so I thought I might as well try and fish maybe 1 or 2 swims before the light goes, and then just settle on one last swim
maybe it's just to fish like an hour into dark. But this is right up the top end away from the car park. It's a lovely open bit of water, got some islands and that around, quite a bit of weed out in front of me. So I've just put one sort of out towards the middle and then one a little bit shorter, and we'll see what happens. But I had some indication really quickly in that previous swim, so I think that's probably going to be my indication whether anything's out here. If I haven't had any indication within maybe 20 minutes, it's probably going to give me the sign that there's not a lot out there, because it seemed to happen really quick in that previous swim. I think the fish were really switched on hunting. The silvers were just scattering everywhere, where there were clearly pike on the prowl, probably perch as well, I would have thought. But yeah, the predator seemed really active. So if I don't have anything within maybe 20 minutes, I think I'll probably end up just packing up and again trying a different area. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, it looks good for a bite, so yeah, we'll give it a bit in here and see if we can have another one.
I've had the rods out for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour from the first casts, and nothing's happened. So I'm going to just recast them for maybe 5 or 10 minutes to some different areas, just to see if that produces anything. Let's try one out towards the island in that channel. Right, so right hand rod I have put actually quite around to the extreme right of the swim, up around behind the back of this tree line here, where there's a bit of a weed bed. I've put it out just to the side of that, and then you should have seen that one. I've just put that out into the channel between the bank and the island. So we'll see if that produces anything. I've not actually seen many silvers really showing. There's been a few, but nowhere near as much as in that other swim. But I just really want to try some different areas. So hopefully I can have another one out of a different area. It'd be quite nice, but we'll see what happens. There's this whole bay up to my left hand side, beyond this sort of bank here. There's like a big bay there. Tends to be absolutely choked up with weed, and then it goes all the way around. There's actually a really nice bit over there if no one's there, where you've got like a safe area, very overgrown. It's got like a rope across, so you're not allowed to fish up in it, but I would imagine that might be quite a good spot for the pike. Still got that most of that bank down there, and there's not really many people over that bit. There's a few on the bank down here where I was like literally the next swim down, which is probably at least 50 yards to be honest, because all this is like a safe bank, and it controls that nice central area where all that weed is. But I just wanted to try a different area instead of just staying in the same swim. So I've obviously got all the kit on the barrow, so it's easy to get moving. But yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a little bit now. I might give it 10 minutes or so with the rods where they are, and then move to a different swim, and then I'll put the rods out again, probably have a brew and maybe a bit to eat, because I'm absolutely starving. I've had hardly anything today. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed we can have another one.
The light went very quickly today. It really felt like it disappeared. I've tried a couple of different swims. I've actually decided to try some of the quieter areas in the bays away from the main sort of body of water. I think a lot of the jacks were in that central zone around all that weed, and I thought, you never know, there might be a bigger fish in some of the bays up into some of the snags and some of the other cover away from sort of the main bulk of fish. So I've tried a couple of different swims up the very far end away from the car park, but unfortunately it's not happened. I haven't had any indication since I moved out of that original swim, so it hasn't paid off, but it's worth a go. You never know. If you don't try, you're not going to know, are you? So I think today it's been a really good session. I've really enjoyed it. It's a shame I've only had 2 fish really, but I think a lot of the fish that I was getting takes from were definitely small fish, and I think if I was using some size 6 trebles with a much shorter gap between them and some smaller baits, I would have definitely put most of them on the bank, if not all of them, as I would have got a much better hook hold. I think the problem with the setup I'm using is I tend to fish in a style where if I hook a better fish, and by that I mean sort of over 20 pound or so, I know I'm going to get it in the net, because at the end of the day I don't want to lose a fish like that. So that tends to be how I fish nowadays. I fish sort of a little bit heavier than I probably need to, just so I know I can get a fish in the net if it's a chunk. But I think the problem is, because of that, obviously the trebles are quite spaced apart, and I think possibly only one of the trebles was actually hooking up on those jacks when I was getting those takes. And I think as soon as they start sort of shaking their head around, if it hasn't got a really good hook hold, it just throws it. So that's obviously what happened. I mean, a couple of fish actually didn't get too far from the net and then dropped off, but that's just fishing, isn't it? And I actually lost that fish on the first lake as well this morning, which was quite frustrating as well. But that's fishing at the end of the day. You can't catch them all, but it's been enjoyable. I might come back and have a go and actually try fishing some sort of scaled down slightly rigs, and see if that actually does work and produces some more bites. It'd be interesting to see how many I can actually catch in a day, because they seem very active at the moment. So if I get a chance to get backish soon, I might come and have a go at that. But anyway, it's probably going to be the end of the session. I think I'm going to reel the rods in now, and it doesn't look like it's happening. So hopefully you like the video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. And myself and Hugh are trying to smash the 5k milestone by the end of the year. To be fair, we're not too far off, so please subscribe to the channel and try and help us get there. It'd be much appreciated. Check out our other social media showing at the bottom of the screen now, and we update that regularly. I've actually been updating that today. We put quite a lot of different content on there, so it's really worth checking it out and following us on like Instagram and Facebook, more so Instagram really. But yeah, hopefully you've got something from the video and you've enjoyed it, and if you're getting out piking, I hope you have a few. And until next time, get out there and be lucky, and I'll see you in the next video.